Hello, Technicality here. Some of the topics we are covering today may be triggering to people, so please check the description to make sure it's something you can handle today. If not, that is fine. You can listen to a different episode or just not listen to the podcast this week. We hope to see you sometime soon. Let's start the episode.
Hello, and welcome to the Bear Me Alive podcast.
I'm your host, Technicality.
And I'm your host, Ghostly. How you doing, Cal?
I'm doing okay. I'm a bit tired, but we're doing this.
Every episode. What are we talking about today?
Today, we are talking about Snallygaster. Have you heard of this guy before?
No, but his name sounds very fun. I have a feeling that because his name is fun, that he's not going to be fun.
You would be accurate on that part.
You mentioned that we can't call him our friend, so...
Yeah.
For those of you who are new to our show, welcome. All of the cryptids we cover are our friends, except this one apparently. And we also have group therapy sessions for cryptids.
Snallygaster is a cryptid in Maryland. It's seen in different towns in Maryland, but is said to live in the South Mountain Caves. Actually, where it's believed to be origined from, which is less, well, the origin is fine. Its origin was started when German immigrants came to the area sometime in the 1730s and dubbed what they described as a part bird, part demon/ghoul as the Snallygaster or the Snallygeist, meaning quick spirit or fast ghost. The exact translations are always a bit weird, but in essence it's the same. This cryptid was speedy and otherworldly. That's basically what it means. This is the first cryptid we've had who has reportedly had an enemy. The enemy being Deweyil, which is reportedly a wolf-like biped that lives in the same area. So the Snallygeist is just the earliest version of where we think the Snallygaster name and just origins were taken from. A note, I just want to note that the Snallygeist can be viewed as separate from Snallygaster, as although the story of it most likely stems from the stories of the Snallygeist, it is technically a separate entity, so that can be a thing. Also, the timeline for this might be off because some things I couldn't find an exact date. The first reported sighting of the cryptid outside of the original folklore was actually over 170 years after it was first introduced. And that's when the story gets warped. In February of 1909, a creature was described as being winged and dragon-like, having a metal or at least metal-like beak and curved steel claws, looking like some half-bird, half-reptile, but with razor-sharp teeth and an eye in the middle of its forehead. And in some descriptions, it also has octopus tentacles coming out of its mouth.
Like the Cthulhu.
I guess so.
Well, doesn't Cthulhu have that weird, worm mouth?
Maybe? I can't picture it right now.
I'm trying to example what it looks like, but it's not working.
It was first seen near Kiln by a sleeping man in Maryland, but woke up, screamed, and flew away. The next sighting of it has it flying in the mountains between Gupland and Butzkettville. I think that's how you say that. And
Butzkettville?
Burkskettville.
Burkskettville. Okay.
I have the text too tiny on my notes sheet.
I thought you said Butzkettville? And I'm like, what?
The U.S. has some strange names, but not quite that.
We do, yeah.
and was apparently seen laying an egg. But the story only became widely spread when a newspaper called the Valley Register talks about a man getting killed by the Snallygaster by it biting his jugular and draining out all of his blood, then dropping him on a random hillside.
Yummy.
After that news article, the story spread to the point where the Smithsonian offered a reward for its hide. According to the news article, multiple news articles by the Valley Register, it was in multiple locations at once, or at least incredibly fast. It became widely spread, being seen as far out from its home state as New Jersey and West Virginia. It reportedly failed catching a woman in Scrabble, the town, not the word game. And
I would love that image of them just playing Scrabble. Sorry.
Yeah. And it went and laid a barrel-sized egg in a farmer's barn near Sharpsburg, and what's thought to be its footprints were seen in New Jersey. In March of the same year, it was attacked by 3 men next to a railroad station before it got chased into the woods. Finally, in July, the Valley Register put up its final article on the creature, saying they found its lair and it ran off to Virginia. According to some, what kicked off this reporting spree was that on February 12th, the Middletown Valley Register got a letter from a man in Ohio saying he had seen the monster flying towards Maryland, which was kind of weird because to get to Maryland, you first have to go through Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and or Kentucky and Virginia. So it would have made sense to contact those states rather than Maryland, but nevertheless, it caused a panic, and it just, yeah. But there is a reason for stuff being so unreliable. Although its origins are much farther back, Snallygaster came into popularity in the same year as the Jersey Devil, meaning the crossover of the sightings were most likely caused by the Jersey Devil, as it was 1 month later.
We covered that guy.
Yeah, the Jersey Devil's fine. But unfortunately, something I found out only once I started doing research on Snallygaster is that it was most likely a hoax made up by the previously mentioned Valley Register to keep former slaves from leaving Maryland post-Civil War by making traveling, especially at night, seem dangerous, with the newspaper sometimes talking about Snallygaster targeting BIPOC people. I felt the need to address this as it's not common knowledge and is often ignored. I recommend looking at the article on Snallygaster by Colin Dickey on Atlas Obscura, which goes into better depth on this subject. It's the first source linked in the description.
Oh God. That took a turn. I was like, did he kill someone or something? Oh God, that's worse. Slavery is worse than murder. I stand by that. I want to be careful because I am a white person, so I want to be careful about what I say on this topic. But that's just crazy to me. So they told the story to keep slaves who were people of color from leaving the state. Okay. Dear God.
Former slaves. This was after the Civil War.
We don't like the Snallygaster.
Yeah. We do not. This is why I prefaced it that this is different from the original Germanic folklore around it.
Yeah. So did they, learn about it and then they used it for evil?
Most likely, because the original story was back in 1730, and it didn't really crop up until this news site started talking about it.
Dang.
There are other stories of Snallygaster outside of the newspaper, if I read correctly, such as in 1923, it was seen in Middletown by Charles Maine, who reported it having a wingspan of 12 to 14 feet, and it was said to shoot out octopus-like tentacles, but then would retract them again.
Why octopus tentacles?
No idea. But in December of 1932, it was said to be lured near a 2,500-gallon vat of moonshine in Washington County, where it passed out from the fumes and drowned in the vat, dying. Which would be nice, except the body and vat were conveniently destroyed, leading to doubt on it.
Boo. Ghostly disapproves.
But I think it's safe to say, although the Snallygaster takes its base from might still have some intrigue, the Snallygaster was most likely a hoax and should not be remembered fondly.
I don't like this. We typically get to make, like, fun jokes and invite fun friends to therapy sessions. This guy is just stupid and racist.
Yeah, it's not great. But I feel like stuff like this has to be covered because a lot of the time when there's darker origins for certain cryptids, it's ignored or brushed over. And that really doesn't do justice to the people who are harmed by it. So, yeah. That is the episode.
I am glad that we acknowledge this. So I just want to quickly say, screw you, racist people who take cryptids and use it for your stupid agendas. Leave them out of this. Yeah, it is really important, though, because we can cover all of these happy little cryptids, but the truth is that there are also stories like this that need to be covered.
And again, I would recommend going and checking out the article I mentioned before by Colin Dickey on it, because it goes much more into how it was used as a form of oppression and how other things throughout the past have been used like that. And it's just, I think it's really important that people learn about it so we can learn from it and stop more stuff like that happening.
That link will be linked twice in the description. It will be under the resources for this episode, which we have on all of our episodes, so it's at the very bottom of the page. But that will also be in the general description where we talk about what the episode is about, so that way you guys make sure you get that link. And we will also leave other resources for you guys to educate yourselves about the slave trade and slavery in the U.S. as a whole.
And that ends the video.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Bury Me Alive podcast. We know that this was a bit of a heavier episode, and we are a bit sorry for that, but this is still really important to talk about. If you guys want to listen to some of our lighter episodes, go ahead and check us out. Other places, if you want to support us, go ahead and interact with us. If you are listening on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to our channel, like this video, and leave a comment. Say something nice. And if you are listening on Spotify, go ahead and rate us. It helps more people see our silly little thoughts. And you can also interact with us through our Q&A and poll features. We hope to see and hear you guys again sometime soon. Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.